Enjoy real value online with TM Pick and Pay Click and Collect. It's time for the news.
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's time for the main news. Thank you for joining us. I'm Justin Mahlatla. Noboma Ungwa joins us at the sign language desk tonight.
My name is Joyce Mabika, and we will be crossing over to our Montrose studios later on in the bulletin. But for now, we take a look at our leading stories tonight.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa declares the late former Deputy Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Mr. Justin Mpamanga, a national hero.
The country's largest coke maker, Dinson Colliery, eyes a 750,000 tons output.
In business, export-led industrialization drive gets private sector backing.
And in sport, ZPC Wange cedes PSL franchise to Amos FC in a deal yet to be approved.
Well, those are our top stories. We now give you the news in detail, but first with our leading story where President Emmerson Mnangagwa has conferred national hero status on the late former Deputy Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Mr. Justin Mpamanga, who died in Harare this Tuesday.
The message was delivered to the Mpamanga family by ZANU-PF National Political Commissar, Comrade Munyaradzi Machacha, in Harare this evening. Comrade Machacha said the President saw it fit to honor Comrade Mpamanga, who contributed towards both the liberation and development of the country. We will be giving you the details to that report as we progress with the bulletin.
Meanwhile, Acting President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga has described Comrade Justin Mpamanga as a veteran of the liberation struggle who dedicated his life to the emancipation and development of Zimbabwe. Now, Acting President Chiwenga says the only way to honor the country's departed heroes is to build the Zimbabwe they envisaged, that is peaceful, secure, and prosperous. He said this during the burial of three national heroes, Major General retired Solomon Siziba, Comrade Chen Chimtengwende, and Ambassador John Shumba Mvundura at the National Heroes Eka in Harare this Wednesday.
The history of Zimbabwe is not complete without the contribution of gallant fighters of liberation. The acting president of the Republic, General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, said, Zimbabwe is what it is because of the contribution of these three illustrious sons, the late Major General Solomon Siziba, the late Comrade Chen Chimtengwende, and the late Dr. John Mvundura. He said, corruption is a cancer, and thwarts developmental effort which have been laid by the President of the Republic. Wednesday, the 22nd of January 2025, the nation laid to rest national heroes, gallant sons of the soil who were instrumental in the birthing of a free, independent, democratic Zimbabwe from the shackles of colonialism. The three: the late Comrade Chen Chimtengwende, born 81 years ago, the late Dr. John Mvundura, who was also 81, and Major General retired Solomon Siziba, 67, were described as gallant fighters and defenders of the Zimbabwean revolution by the acting President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga. Born Comrade Hassan Nyangoni, Comrade Chen Chimtengwende received military training in Ghana in 1964 and was to excel later in the academic field, rising to become a professor in media studies before joining the Zimbabwean legislature after independence, where he served for over 20 years in both parliament and cabinet. Acting President Dr. Chiwenga said, his life is instructive to the young to emulate.
Comrade Chimtengwende's wisdom saw him being appointed to the post of Deputy President of the Senate and head of the Zimbabwe delegation to the Pan-African Parliament. He also served as a member of the Politburo, and at the time of his passing on, he was member of the National Consultative Assembly.
The late Ambassador John Mvundura grew up in rural Makoni district and was active in politics in Highfield, Harare before leaving for Mozambique. And he trained militarily at Tembwe in Mozambique. He was ZANU's chief of protocol and he saw service in the diplomatic field.
His first diplomatic mission was in Mozambique and Swaziland, followed by Malawi, Libya, Nigeria, and Cuba. Despite retiring from government service in 1994, his resilience and commitment to his country led to his reappointment as ambassador to Cuba from 2000 to 2013. The late Ambassador Mvundura's academic achievements include a bachelor, Masters of Science degrees in politics and international relations, and a doctorate of philosophy from International University.
The late Major General Solomon Siziba was one of those 1977 Manama boys who left for the struggle via Botswana, together with the late Lieutenant General Sibusiso Moyo, Albert Ngulube, and Chief Air Marshal retired Elson Moyo, and others. He trained in Zambia and after independence rose through the ranks to become Brigadier General. He was a defense attaché in Botswana for 8 years and a director at the National Prosecuting Authority.
The late Major General retired was awarded the Grand Officer of the Zimbabwe Order of Merit for distinguishing himself as a principled, loyal, dedicated and competent senior military officer, and many other service and campaign medals, which include the Mozambique and DRC campaign medals.
Acting President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga gave a clear takeaways to mourners at the National Heroes Eka.
Let us not forget that it is through the selfless sacrifices and dedication to duty by the late three gallant sons of the soil we are laying to rest today, and many other departed and living cadres, that Zimbabwe continues to enjoy its sovereign nationhood as a state. We can only realize our vision of attaining an empowered and prosperous upper middle income society by guarding against and desisting from all forms of actions and misdeeds which undermine the national interest. Foremost is corruption and all forms of related unethical and self-conduct, especially in respect of business transactions at whatever level, small, medium to large economic units. Any act of shady dealings and act of deceit goes towards undermining the ideals of which these gallant national heroes sacrificed.
The acting president of the Republic said, "We are what we are because of the foundation laid by these three late sons." Ruben Barwet, ZBC News, at the National Heroes Eka in Harare.
And meanwhile, families and colleagues of the three national heroes buried at the National Shrine this Wednesday concur that they have lost a family. Unifiers were also unwavering in their commitment to the country's development.
The burial of Comrade Chenamo Chimtengwende, Major General retired Solomon Sisiba, and Ambassador John Shumba Mvundura attracted thousands of mourners from across the country who gathered at the National Shrine to pay their last respects to the dedicated cadres of the liberation struggle. The Sisiba family representative, Brigadier Mpulayeng Sisiba, described his late brother as a unifier, a successful farmer, and liberation stalwart.
My brother was a humble general and interacted well with a lot of people, as well as a unifier within the family, as well as a good guide. Once again, as the Sisiba family, we say, go well, our brother.
Mr. Klopas Nyankoni said the late Comrade Chimtengwende was a good father, pillar of support to the family. He added that he has been buried at the National Heroes Acre speaks volumes about his works for the nation.
He has been a good father to his biological children and children of his siblings. He has always provided both moral and financial support to the children of his siblings and members of the family in general. He has always been a pillar of support and guidance to the whole family.
Daughter to the national hero, Ambassador John Mvundura, Jane said her father was a champion of academic excellence, diplomat par excellence, and a gender giant.
Ambassador Mvundura was a loving, caring, and supportive husband. Dad had an impeccable taste for clothing and provided well for his entire family and anyone who approached him for help. He never turned away a soul, but was always willing to listen and assist cheerfully. To his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, Ambassador Dr. J.S. Mvundura was a gentle giant. He was a strict disciplinarian. He taught us all that honest hard work always repays with its due reward.
Colleagues described the three national heroes as exceptional cadres who dedicated their lifetime to the development of the country, imploring young people to emulate their works for posterity.
To be honored as a national hero, it's something which is valued so much because of the works of a person, the background, the history, participation in during the liberation struggle. After the liberation, we value that so much.
Comrade Chenchi Mutengwende munhu akashanda akaunza development mudunhu reChiweshe kwavakamiririra kwemakore anokwana kuita 23 vari National Assembly MP vakazoita 10 years vari senator mudunhu rimwe chete iroro. Development yavakaunza ndinoreva kuvakwa kwezvikoro.
We are said, of course, we have lost a hard worker, a man, a unifier, a man who was very instrumental in the development of Manicaland for a long time.
Which read Ambassador Dr. John Mvundura, our esteemed diplomat, Comrade Chenamo Chimtengwende, our dedicated cadre and Major General retired Solomon Sisiba, a distinguished liberation struggle stalwart. Bruce Shawanda, CBC News, Harar.
We'll now give you the details to our first story, where President Emmerson Mnangagwa has conferred national hero status on the late former Deputy Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Mr. Justin Mpamanga, who died in Harare this Tuesday. The message was delivered to the Mpamanga family by ZANU-PF and National Political Commissar, Comrade Marera Rural in Harare this evening. Comrade Machacha said that the President saw it fit to honor Mr. Mpamanga, who contributed towards both the liberation and development of the country.
Vatarisa kuchimiro chake kuvimbika nokutendeseka kwake hazvina kumbonetsa kuti president vamupe ruremekedzo rwegamba renyika national. Mamwe mahero tinoitawo kufonerwa toita round robin pafoni kana kutodaidzira musangano uya tinakana musangano wakadaidzwa zvichingonzi ashaya kanzi nyorai tsamba ngaitoenda kumhuri kuti national hero because akauena he earned it nemabasa ake.
The Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services says the politically broad-based call to extend the presidential term of office beyond 2028 remains a rightful and unquestionable obligation for Parliament, the ruling ZANU-PF party and other legitimate political stakeholders. In a statement, the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jenfan Muswere, said parliamentarians from the cross-sectional divide of political parties represent the views and interests of their electorate. He added that submissions by honorable members of parliament reflect the aspirations of those who voted the constituencies they were elected to serve. He also said parliament is not answerable to narrow, sectoral and regime change donor funding antics by a paltry conglomerate of civil society entrepreneurs purporting to represent the views of the church in Zimbabwe. The minister further stated that the proposal to move a motion on the presidential term limit extension will follow the provisions of the law.
The Office of the President and Cabinet has warned the local media against sensationalism and misinformation. This comes after a local daily newspaper, The Newsday, carried a front-page story this Wednesday headlined "Churches Trash ED 2030 Plan."
Cabinet, Mr. George Charamba said the publication deliberately intended to wrongly impute, misinform, malign and incite. He said while the story purports to draw from a statement by the Zimbabwe heads of Christian denominations, which is titled Statement on Presidential Constitutional Term Limits, the paper's article is patently at variance with a third source statement whose addressees are clearly spelled out and which appreciates and accurately restates the position of President Emmerson Mnangagwa regarding presidential term limits. Mr. Charamba further stated that it is mischievous for the Newsday to seek to apportion to the president by some citizens who are exercising their constitutional rights by proffering their views on the same matter and maintaining that President Emmerson Mnangagwa is not responsible for views held or wishes expressed by some Zimbabweans on issues regarding the matter. The Deputy Chief Secretary further stated that the media should provide neutral platforms for such contestations which at any rate threaten nobody and in fact validate and demonstrate the country's democracy in action.
The ZANU-PF Matabeleland South provincial leadership has urged party members to support government in implementing the ruling party's resolutions meant to improve people's lives.
One of the key resolutions is to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term beyond 2028 after he spearheaded the inclusive development trajectory.
Implementation of programs meant to empower communities has seen Matabeleland South Province calling for the extension of the President and First Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa's term to 2030. The provincial resolution was reiterated during the ruling party's inter-district meeting in Umzingwane this Tuesday.
All 7 districts, their number 1 resolution, President when we look at your leadership, President, the infrastructure you continue to develop our sectors in our economy. Our President, 2030. One our districts on 7 South, that the resolution number 1. President about 2030 now. Resolution number 1 South Province.
Representatives of different party wings who attended the meeting said President Mnangagwa has spearheaded the country's inclusive development trajectory, which he should see to completion.
engabe sikhangele uyenzayo ukuthi hayibo asilekeleni ubaba aqhubeke aqedise izinhlelo zakhe ayifika ku-2030.
The President and First Secretary of ZANU-PF Party, His Excellency Comrade Dr. Idi Mnangagwa's term of office as President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and First Secretary of ZANU-PF be extended beyond 2028 to 2030. The party and government should therefore set in motion the necessary amendments to the national constitution so as to give effect to this resolution.
As Family, Aritsarane, Gati Batanei, my comrades. City 2030, Umnangagwa.
The meeting also saw Mr. Haniso Moyo from the opposition CCC crossing the floor to join the ruling ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF party members who attended the Matabeleland South Province Inter-District meeting also agreed to help government implement the resolutions that were passed during the 2024 Annual National People's Conference in Bulawayo.
The Victoria Falls Stock Exchange has set an ambitious target of attracting at least 6 new listings this year.
The announcement comes as the exchange continues to solidify its position as a key player in Zimbabwe's capital markets. The Victoria Falls Stock Exchange VFX is actively engaging with companies across various sectors including mining, agriculture, tourism and technology to encourage them to consider listing on the United States dollar-denominated exchange.
The year started well. We're looking into 3 new listings and we expect to double that by the end of the year. This is a result of the work that we've done so far to convince prospective issuers on the advantages of listing on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. In particular, the advantages of being able to raise hard currency on the exchange and use that money to expand their businesses.
The VFX indicated that various initiatives such as continuous engagement with the potential issuers will be instituted to woo more listings.
In terms of the new things that we want to do this year, one of the things that we want to do this year is to come to a product that makes it easier for exploration companies and junior mining companies to raise money on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange.
During the course of the year, the boss's focus will also be on growing the commodities exchange, reviving the debt market, developing new products for retail investors, and migration of the settlement cycle to T+2. The exchange offers a number of advantages for companies, including access to foreign investment, a stable and transparent trading environment, and streamline the listing process. Established in 2020, the VFX has to date attracted 16 listings comprising of 12 equities, 3 depository receipts, and a fixed income instrument. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
The Second Republic continues with its drive to harness the country's natural resources in line with Vision 2030. In the same vein, Wange's biggest coke producer, Dinston Colliery, revealed it is targeting a record 750,000 tons annual output after a successful expansion project last year. Our Matabeleland North Bureau Chief, Smuggling, has the story.
Projected to grow by an average of 7% in 2025, raking in $6 billion in exports, driven by a strong recovery in gold, platinum, group metals and diamonds, Zimbabwe's mining sector is anchored on a sound growth trend. The Second Republic's commitment to encouraging investments in the mining industry from local and international players has been clear since its inception in 2017. Under the National Development Strategy 1 and Vision 2030, government outlined clear policies of how the country will reap its dividends from vast mineral resources, thereby benefiting the citizenry. In Wange, coke production has gone a gear up, with Dinston Colliery, the country's largest coke maker, surpassing its production targets last year. The firm ended the year with an output of over 500,000 tons.
2024, we did well. Our target of 200,000 tons from phase 1 and 2. But we did 150,000 tons. That is phase 1 and 2. When we resumed using the phase 3 and 4, we did 2,400.
Plans are also at an advanced stage to build a power plant which will cater for the firm's power needs, thereby reducing pressure on the national grid. The project, set for completion by the end of the year, is expected to catapult production.
We're looking into expanding phase 4, 5 and 6, and hopefully with the approval of the government we can build our power station, as the demand is very high.
Now employing over 300 direct employees and a sizable number indirectly for other industries, the company supplies 50% of its product to the local market. The remaining percentage is being exported to South Africa, Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo, earning Zimbabwe the much-needed foreign currency. Under the Second Republic, the mining sector has emerged as a key driver of economic growth, accounting for 80% of the country's exports, according to the 2024 Chamber of Mines State of Mining Survey report. ZBC News, Wange.
Well, we appreciate our viewers who have joined us and are watching through our social media platforms. Joyce, we have, as usual, followers on our Facebook page, on ZBC News Online, on our YouTube page, ZBC News Online. But we want to say good evening to Sheila Vigi tonight, who says also good evening, Zimbabwe. There's also Dixon Majaha. Good evening, Zimbabwe. Thank you once more, ZBC, for the news. Watching from Odzani Watsomba, and says it's raining now. Well, we thank God for the rains. Also, a good evening to Stanford. Who do you have, Joyce?
Well, I've got Walter Mudzonga, who's saying good evening, our beautiful Zimbabweans from Kanukamwe, that's in Mazoe, and also Kaka Ongicho Walter, who is watching from Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow. There's also Voski Munyaradzi Masawi watching from Beatrice, and also we have Philmon MP Zueni watching from Dangamvura Mutare Destiny. There's also again Benias Kudzanai Hatendi. There's a good number of viewers who actually logged on, and they are interacting with us. So we also want to keep this bulletin very, very interactive. Remember, if you have any interesting news that is happening wherever you are, feel free to send them over to us through our email. That's bulletins@zbc.co.zw. bulletins@zbc.co.zw.
Yes, and as we continue to honor our heroes, Voski is saying, rest in peace, gallant sons. Makarwa kurwa kwakakosha tinotenda.
Jayaguru Tafita Guta Muchokwa watching from Harare CBD. Thank you, together with Thanesu AK Karimbika. We want to thank you for joining in. And Walter Mudzonga, good evening, our beautiful Zimbabwe from Kanukamwe in Mazoe. Bisha Nabi Gweshe also saying good evening and watching from Cape Town, all the way from South Africa.
Yes, indeed. And remember, our stories here that are featured on all our bulletins, you can find them in greater detail on www.zbcnews.co.zw.
And also on our X handle at ZBC News Online, our WhatsApp channel, as well as our YouTube channel. We are at ZBC News Online. Also, join in and watch more on our Instagram and TikTok platforms at ZBC News Online.
Well, here are stories still to come ahead in the bulletin. In business, export-led industrialization drive gets private sector backing.
And when we take a look at sport later on, ZPC Wange cedes PSL franchise to Amos FC in a deal yet to be finalized.
Well, those and more stories coming up after this break. Stay with us.
The Zimbabwean government is inviting nominations for its honors and awards, which recognize outstanding contributions and achievements by Zimbabwean citizens. To be eligible, nominees should be luminaries who meet the specific criteria for the award they are being nominated for. The honors and awards that deserving individuals can be nominated for include Order of the Great Zimbabwe, Royal Order of the Munumutapa, the Order of the Star of Zimbabwe, the National Historical Legacy Award, Bravery Awards, Commendation Awards. Closing date for nomination is Friday, the 28th of February 2025. Nominations may be made by post to the Acting Registrar, Honors and Awards, Private Bag, 7700 Causeway, Harare, or email to honorsandawards@gta.gov.za. You can visit ZBC website www.zbc.co.zw or see press for more details.
The Zimbabwe Tourism Authority is calling all operators of tourist facilities who have not registered or those with expired licenses and certificates to come forward and register their facilities in compliance with the provisions of Section 36 of the Tourism Act, Chapter 14, 20 of 1996 by 15 February 2025. According to Statutory Instrument Number 106 of 1996, categories of the tourist facilities that must be registered with the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority include but are not limited to conference organizers, restaurants, whether in hotel or otherwise, fast food restaurants, vehicle, bicycle, boat, bus hire, courier shops, tour operators, hunting operators, tour guides, non-hotel conference facilities and venues, travel agents including those online, accommodation including hotels, lodges, guest houses, camps and campsites, bed and breakfast accommodation, Airbnb accommodation, visitor attractions including game parks, farms, art galleries, visitor activities including golf, horse riding, bungee jumping, wedding venues, picnic or braai sports, open-air function venues. All facilities that register or renew their licenses and certificates on or before the 15th of February 2025 will have no penalties charged. From the 1st of March 2025, the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, in conjunction with law enforcement agents, will be deployed to bring all unregistered facilities to book. For further information and assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority offices that are located across the country. Travel and experience Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is delighted to host the upcoming 15th conference of the contracting parties to the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, COP15 in 2025. Zimbabwe is home to quite a number of small wetlands that have benefited our rural communities, mainly in providing pastures for livestock, water provision for irrigation and domestic use. In addition, our management of wetlands, which has led to pristine wildlife management, will ensure an unforgettable experience of an authentic African safari. Our adoption of sustainable land use practices that minimize the impact of human activities on wetlands can be observed in our various wetland sites such as Victoria Falls, Munaville Vlei, Chinui Caves, Cleveland, Chivero, Driefontein and Mangaboos. 5 of the Ramsar designated sites are the main anchors of our tourism product. Mangaboos, Chinui Caves, Cleveland, Chivero and the host city for COP15, Victoria Falls. We look forward to welcoming you to Zimbabwe and sharing all that we hold dear to our hearts, a world of wonders.
Well, we couldn't carry on with the bulletin without making a special mention of one of our followers who has actually said, Indita Ureiwo, she's asking to be mentioned. That's Luminous Kayowe. Thank you for tuning in and for following this news bulletin. And now all the way to Davos, where the government of Zimbabwe has managed to meet investors from across the globe at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Professor Mthuli Ncube, says investors have expressed interest in several local sectors.
Today we kicked off with a very fascinating session and engagement focusing on Africa between the private sector, governments, public policy actors. In the private sector, we had companies that are investing and seeking to expand in Africa, focusing on agro-processing, the beer sector, the beverages sector, for example, port and rail logistics, the banking sector, telephony, and the digital tech companies. All of them are present in Africa, and they're trying to expand, and they're looking to us, the governments, to give them the right incentives to invest in Africa. We're an incredible engagement. What came out was that the beverages companies are interacting well, forging backward linkages with the primary sector, being the agricultural sector. Beer companies, for example, investing in barley, growing in sorghum right across Africa. And this is a welcome development. We see the synergy between the beverages companies and the primary agricultural sector. Those in telephony, of course, they want less regulation. They want us to make it easier to operate in their countries in terms of the regulatory environment. They want support for investing in physical infrastructure, whether it's fiber optics, whether it's base stations and so forth. They want government to be supportive. But also they want support in terms of building data centers and so forth, which are critical for investment in artificial intelligence.
Sub update coming through from Davos, Switzerland, and from Switzerland we cross over to our Montreux studios in Bulawayo and Dora Ngube, who give us more news. A very good evening to you, Dora. Many thanks, Joyce and Justin, and good evening. And now from Switzerland, we come back home. The tourism industry is experiencing unprecedented growth, with part of the over $60 million United States dollars worth of accommodation facilities in Victoria Falls opening to clients recently.
Victoria Falls is witnessing a surge in investment, with hotels, resorts and lodges valued at over $60 million United States dollars at various stages of construction. One such facility, a 24-room hotel, recently opened doors for clients in a development expected to increase the resort city's room capacity from around 3,000 to approximately 5,000, creating new opportunities for tourists and locals alike.
Because we've got amazing people and amazing products, and very varied products, from 5-star to 3-star to comfortable bed and breakfasts and all of that. And Victoria Falls Oasis is here to assist and complement what is helping on develop national tourism.
The development has charmed the Hospitality Association of Zimbabwe.
The development in the city is something that is very much welcome. It's something that we all encouraging. Reason being that if you look at these new establishments, some of them actually cater for certain type of market. And it's not everyone who want to go into a wholesale hotel. Some people will actually want to go into a boutique hotel. Some would like to go into a budget hotel, looking at their money, or rather their pockets and everything like that. So I think coming in of the new players, it helps segment and helps, give a lot of choice to our tourists.
The tourism boom is also expected to create jobs, increase foreign exchange earnings, and enhance infrastructure development. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
7 suspected smugglers have been arrested, while several goods were confiscated at a police roadblock in Gweru as police declare zero tolerance to smuggling.
An ongoing blitz against criminal activities by ZRP Gweru Urban District has unearthed some smuggling activities in which suspects are wrapping second-hand clothes in unassuming card boxes and bags to disguise law enforcement agents. The ZRP has vowed to widen its exercise and ensure such goods will not find a way to pass through the city of Gweru.
We have arrested some offenders who have been smuggling goods from Mozambique destined to Bulawayo. These are the second-hand goods which have been smuggled through border posts in Matare. And we are saying as police officers that we are going to leave no stone unturned. We are to ensure that all those perpetrators who are involved in these activities are brought to book.
Government banned the importation of second-hand clothes to protect the local textile industry and promote value addition. However, the law was relaxed in 2017, where the importation of such clothing was allowed, albeit some restrictions like the need to produce import licenses to prove that the goods would have paid duty. Tafaraj Kumira, ZBC News, Gweru.
The Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe, MCAZ, has issued a warning regards a counterfeit version of the Marera rabies vaccine circulating in the market through unauthorized sources.
In a circular number 03 of 2025 released by the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe this Tuesday, the authority advised that the counterfeit product poses a significant threat to public health as it may lack efficacy, contain harmful components and increase the risk of treatment failure in preventing rabies. To protect the citizenry, the MCAZ is advising licensed wholesalers, pharmacies, public and private clinics and hospitals to immediately quarantine any units of the counterfeit Marera vaccine, stating that these quarantined units must be submitted to the authority for proper disposal. The MCAZ also implored the general public who may have purchased the falsified vaccine to return the product to the farmers where they obtained the medicine. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harar.
And that's it from myself, Durangwebe, and the Montrose News crew. Justin and Joyce, it's back to you. Well, many thanks there to Durangwebe and our crew at our Montrose studios in Bulawayo. Well, back in Harare, once again, the Harare City Council taking a center stage as allegations of improper hiring practices and questionable business dealings have rocked the Harare City Council in the latest evidence given during the ongoing Commission of Inquiry.
We have taken $101,000 from the City Council's new on paper. Many men that transmitted yesterday that it was wrong and illegal for you to take that. I need to say that money should cover the City Council of public repairs and residents of the city of Harar.
Yes, I'm prepared.
When do you want to start?
It was an explosive testimony when the executive assistant to the town clerk, Major Retired Matthew Marera, shed light on the over 130,000 United States dollars payout he illegally received from council. Marera went on to make more stunning revelations on the alleged parallel means to employ and pay council executives.
These boards became thick-headed. They are the ones who refuse to submit books of accounts to City of Harar, arguing that they are private companies who are governed by the Companies Act. Councillors were appointed board members. It was only after the Ministry of Local Government wrote a directive to say councillors do not qualify to be members of these boards.
Evidence revealed that subsidiary companies created by the local authority were bleeding council coffers.
My recommendation is council is not deriving any benefits from these business entities. From my experience, I don't even see the logic for creating these business entities because they are not bringing value addition to council. So it was rather better for them to operate under city mayor.
The inquiry into the governance of Harare City Council continues this Thursday, with the Mayor Jacob Mafume expected to testify.
Villagers from Marera Rural have commended the Second Republic for prioritizing their safety and development after government availed fire tenders to the Rural District Council.
Most rural local authorities have in the past been operating without fire tenders, hence failing to respond to accidents and fire incidences, including widespread veld fires. However, this is now a thing of the past after government availed the fire tenders to Marera Rural District Council, much to the delight of villagers.
Vamwana vanongwa nemukana wokurarama kana vachinge vadzvinyirirwa paye, asi nekuda kwokuti zvinobatsira kuzvinoheopa kuti wabve zvinenge zvichinonoka, saka chinhu chakatikoshera kuti chinokasika chasvika panzvimbo vanhu vobatsirwa.
Kana dzimba dzikatsva taane kodzero yekukufonerai moya muchimhanya. Tiri kutenda zvikuru nezviri kuitwa izvi.
Toda kutenda nyika yedu nekutisira mudziyo wakanaka unotichengetedza mumusha, ngava kunjodzi dzemoto kana njodzi dzemunzira.
Takatopisirwawo bhani, asi dai pakanga paine ichochichi aiwa tai takapona.
The local authority had time to demonstrate to villagers how the fire tenders work.
High pressure yedu then side iri tine inonzi normal yedu ndo yatinoconnecta kana moto kunyange ukanzi uri pa 100 meters away tinongoya toconnecta panapa toconnecta ma horses edu aya ari in series achienda kune moto tasvika hatikwanise kusvika pane moto chaipo tinongoya connecta toita se toenda kumuromo kwacho toisa this nozzle ndo yatinenge shandisa kuita se kudzimisa moto.
The coming in of this machinery will equip us and be able to attend to those incidents and accidents in time.
Marera Rural District Council is one of the 5 local authorities in Mashonaland East to receive fire tenders, with the others being Chikomba, Mutoko, Ngoromonzi and Murewa. Gerald Sasa, ZBC News, Marera.
Let's now take a look at some of the stories making headlines beyond our country's borders. Reports say more than 2,400 truckloads of United Nations supplies have entered Gaza in the 3 days since the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement came into effect.
Global oil prices recorded marginal movements Wednesday, with traders closely watching U.S. President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs and the potential impact of the national energy emergency he declared on his first day in office. Brent crude inched 4 cents higher to $79.33 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures edged 2 cents lower to $75.81. Late on Tuesday, Trump said his administration was discussing imposing a 10% tariff on goods imported from China on February 1, the same day that he previously said Mexico and Canada could face levies of around 25%. Trump laid out a sweeping plan to maximize domestic oil and gas production, including declaring a national energy emergency, speeding permitting, rolling back environmental protections, and withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Pact.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says close to 908 trucks have entered the Gaza Strip days after the ceasefire agreement came into effect. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the global body is doing its part to ensure the rapid scaling up of humanitarian deliveries to the enclave. He also underscored that the parties must coordinate with the UN system in a timely and effective manner, including the restoration of public order and safety to prevent the looting of humanitarian supplies.
We are off to a break. We'll return with business news thereafter. Feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or struggling with difficult emotions? Do you feel like giving up? No matter what you are going through, you don't have to carry that burden alone. The Ministry of Health and Childcare, together with its partners, brings you the Parirenyatwa Psychological Support Center to help you. Call our toll-free hotline 2024, where trained professionals are available to listen and offer confidential support, guidance, and coping strategies tailored to your needs without judgment. Your mental health is important, and we are committed to helping you navigate life's challenges with the support you deserve. Take the first step towards feeling better. Call 2024 today. Remember, you are not alone. Together, we can find a way forward. You deserve support in your journey to healing.
Yes guys, nasi ndafunga kuenda kumusha ndimbo spend time family rangu ndavu ndapinda mu chicken buzz. Munoizere chicken buzz? Chicken buzz
Ngoma John wakauya zvewe. Kwai wakabva John angonese Georgette. Vate vasina grocery.
Ndi Joro Market. Hai obvious apana chaidzo kana chone nungo dziri pape ungazinze ngoro ne grocery pape.
Anga vangozara manene.
Kuna chiri kuzo.
Ndava ndaona mblazi mubazi. Anotaurisa munhu uyu.
Indonzi
Lee.
Tats. Yoruba uko.
Australia.
Alright. Kana tiwasimuswa kuna na kutengesa unozimutsaganisha vantu.
Say.
Getato hama kudai.
Okay, bro.
Acheni.
Alright. Tubasi.
Ngwa ipezi cats.
Tats.
Oh, tats.
Guys, ndaona munhu achitengesa chibage. And I've been at chibage maybe 10 years. Ndikati, imari chibage. $40. Munotora iko ken? Alright.
0773 426 300.
Alright. Yaita here.
Yaita, thank you.
Guys, chiri kunuirira. Ndazosvika kumusha manje.
Joy after joy.
Now to our look at business, the private sector has pledged to support an export-led industrialization drive to enable local companies increase regional and global exports.
The private sector held discussions on Wednesday to unpack and assess the current trade agreements for Zimbabwe's bilateral and multilateral partners. With Zimbabwe sharing the SADC region, focus is on increasing exports and expanding the local industrial capacity.
If we ride on the SADC and the commercial trade protocols, it will give us leverage so that we export our goods duty-free to other neighboring countries. But one thing that has to come very clear is we need to have production that is cheaper. We need to produce our goods in a cheaper way. So we need good electricity source. We need good utility source so that our production costs goes down.
The unpacking of the trade agreements is also aimed at helping industry access viable and strategic markets.
Zimbabwe has a free trade agreement with the UK. It's called the UK ESA EPA, Economic Partnership Agreement, and that covers ESA countries as well as Zimbabwe. What that means is that Zimbabwean companies are able to export to the UK as much as they like, so that's quota-free and tariff-free, which also means they don't pay any tariffs at all. This can really cut the margins on their business.
Industrialists are also keen to take advantage of the existing regional and international trade agreements.
We are now in the era of the African continent free trade area, which is kicking in now, and Zimbabwe is a signatory to this new trade opportunity. So the reason why we decided to meet here today was to ensure that we unpack and get industrialists to understand the opportunities that now lie ahead in the continent.
Zimbabwe is a signatory to various trade agreements within SADC, COMESA and African Continental Free Trade Area. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
And that's our business update for this evening, taking us straight to the arts. You won't believe this. Well, Zimbabwean businesswoman Zodwa Mkandla has starred in a trending Netflix reality series, Young, Famous and African Season 3. Let's see what she is up to.
Long life, babes.
The reality show released last week has gained popularity across the world after starring famed African personalities, including Ugandan socialite Zari Hassan, Nigerian actress Iniedo, South African musician Nadia Nakai, Nigerian model Annie Edibia, and Tanzanian musician Diamond Platnumz, among others. The prominent business personality, Zodwa, is excited to be the first Zimbabwean to be part of the reality show, which has attracted continental stars.
It's beautiful. I had to appear there because Zari, the boss lady, is my friend. I was a facilitator at her wedding. She invited me to come and facilitate at her wedding as a friend. That's the only role that I played. It was beautiful. I enjoyed it. About next series is featuring, I'm not sure.
The show is Odo's debut appearance in television shows after she appeared on the first episode, officiating at her friend Ugandan socialite Zari Hassan's wedding with Shakib Lutaya. Patience Nyagato Sabesi News, Harare.
And that's all we had for you in the arts sector. Next, we take a look at what's taking place in sport, and that will be Lawrence Trusida after this break.
Have you heard about Marechera? Hanziko. But he says keeper. Shakwendeka. They say he has this glow about him now. He doesn't walk. He glides.
I hate he has got people who irons his money.
But have you heard that when he coughs, money just comes out of the blue? Out of the orange.
Hey yo.
Marechera.
Says keeper. Shakwendeka. Introducing the new Mukuru wallet.
Everybody needs a little time away. I heard her say from each other. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise.
Step up with DSTV and we'll show up by giving you more incredible entertainment.
Going to have a little fun.
Upgrade your subscription between the 13th of January and the 31st of March and get an even higher package for a whole month on us.
To the back of the net!
There's nothing better than putting a little bit in but getting a lot out.
This is the time to take risks.
Incredible!
I've heard good things about you. Don't let me down.
Step up and we'll show up on your home of entertainment, DSTV.
In every heart is the dream of greatness. Football is more than a game. It is hope. It is unity. It is the future. Every journey starts with a single kick. As a dedicated and passionate individual, I, Nqobile Magwizi, am ready to lead Zimbabwean football into a new era. My transformative agenda is built on uniting stakeholders, restoring integrity, and fostering grassroots talent. I firmly believe every player deserves a chance to shine. From our humble beginnings to dreaming on the global stage, we know that talent must be nurtured and dreams deserve to flourish. That's why I'm asking for your vote to become the president of the Zimbabwe Football Association. It's time to focus on the goal. Together, we can restore pride, nurture talent, and create a lasting legacy for future generations. Vote for me, Nqobile Magwizi, and let's transform Zimbabwean football together.
Good evening once again, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on Sports News as we get to give you what has been happening through the day. My name is Lawrence Trusida. We start off with the Glamour Boys, where Harar Giants Dynamos are strengthening their squad ahead of the 2025 season after signing midfielders Lenmo Muyambo and Teomo Pio.
The duo joins the Glamour Boys as part of the team's ongoing efforts to reinforce their squad. Lenmo Muyambo, a 27-year-old dynamic midfielder, has signed a 2-year deal joining Dynamos from Greenfield. 29-year-old holding midfielder Teomo Pio has also penned a 2-year contract with Dimbari after spending the last 2 seasons with ZBC Kariba. The new signings are expected to bolster Dynamos midfield while also adding depth and quality to the team's lineup. Meanwhile, Goalkeeper Martin Mapisa has parted ways with Dynamos after a short stint with the club. Mapisa played a crucial role in Dynamos' Chibuku Super Cup success after leading the Glamour Boys to their second cup title in 2 years. Dynamos have been active during the off-season after confirming former Warriors midfielder Ronald Gidiza Sabanda as their new team manager and Mark Mate is assistant coach to Lloyd Chikowe. Meanwhile, midfielder Shadrack Nyawa is set to join Greenfuel, with the player currently in Chisumbanje finalizing the move. Anna Shemrombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, it seems as if the Glamour Boys have been late to the party, but they come dancing. We can also let you know that Dynamos have since signed former Yada captain, that is Clive Mandive, with the big defender committing to a 2-year deal with the Glamour Boys. Staying with football news, the Zimbabwe Football Executive Committee elections are set for this Saturday, and candidates are vying for positions on the Executive Committee are busy jostling for positions.
Saturday, 25 January is a D-Day as the 40 candidates are vying for 6 executive committee positions in the ZIFA elections set for a local hotel in Harare. One of the candidates, Brighton Ushendi Baba, who is a director at PSO Champions, Simba Bora, is hoping to work on grassroots development, especially in rural areas.
Ndoda kutora my youth 80% vari kuwanika vari kumarural areas. Tovatora towanza matournaments kuchikoro. Like before, 10 years ago, even in Masvingo province, Mkaro mission, Mtero mission, kwese kwaiva talent. But in few years before rides, zvakamboti dzikirei because of various reasons. Inikuya kwangu mbodu ndoda kueda input kuti zvinizvo zvidzoke.
Some believe local football needs the modern effect.
There has to be a modern effect. In that, you see, there has to be my expertise, my skill should be there. I'm a team player, I am because we are. There is unity in diversity. I believe that I'm not there to add numbers but to add value to ZIFA.
Others are standing in for junior football development.
We felt that development is not being taken seriously, and as a result I said I have been involved from the start for the development. Why not go in there and be part of that?
Long-serving football administrator Sharif Musa believes he offers sound leadership.
With having come in with a lot that I can offer because of my long-term relationship in this game, it's, I think, time that we can pass it on and continue being a football servant off the field also, where it matters with those that are sitting to make decisions.
Meanwhile, representatives from the World Football Governing Body FIFA are already in Zimbabwe ahead of the elections.
So it's just 2 days before we get to find out the new executive committee that is set to take Zimbabwean football forward. And moving on, ZIFA Northern Region Division 1 side, Moss FC are on the blink of playing in the top flight league next season after securing the franchise of ZPC Wange rather through a partnership.
ZPC Wange will not be playing in the Premiership after the power utility team partnered Northern Region Division 1 side Moss for a takeover of the Premier Soccer League franchise. ZPC will play in the ZIFA Southern Region Division 1 League, while Moss will move on to the top flight league.
Moss FC and ZPC Wange FC are pleased to advise all stakeholders that they have entered into a landmark partnership that will reshape football development across Zimbabwe. Through this innovative arrangement, Moss FC will advance to the Premier Soccer League PSL for the 2025 season, while ZPC Wange FC focuses on grassroots football development in Southern Region. The partnership represents a new model for football development in Zimbabwe.
Even though the clubs are excited, it is not yet a done deal as the final decision lies with ZIFA, which is yet to be alerted about the new arrangements.
As we gear up for our Premier Soccer League debut in 2025, we are not just aiming for the stars, we are committed to uplifting grassroots football across Zimbabwe. Together we will invest in youth programs, enhance facilities and empower local talent to shine on the big stage.
Once the deal is ratified by ZIFA, checks will be done to see if the partnership is of sporting merit according to CAF club licensing policy. The Premier Soccer League will have the final say on the status of MOS, as PSL regulations stipulate that clubs are accepted at an annual general meeting after meeting all the requirements. Zimbabwe Power Company, which owns both ZPC Kariba and ZPC Hwange, were pushed into a corner as CAF club licensing requirements do not allow clubs owned by the same entity to participate in the same league. If the deal goes through, fans from the southern region will be the ones feeling robbed, as Highlanders FC and Chicken Inn are the only teams from the region in the top flight league. For Matabeleland North Province and the Hwange community, it will even be a bitter pill to swallow after Hwange FC were relegated last season. Mhlomo Ncube, SABC News, Hwange.
So that's a developing story. Wait to see what happens when ZIFA gets the notification, and also what happens after the PSL annual general meeting set for next month. And that story on ZPC Hwange and MOS puts a cap on sports news this evening, and it's now time for the weather report.
A pleasant evening, Zimbabwe, and welcome to tonight's weather report and forecast. Hope I find you well with the very active ITCZ over the northern part of the country, giving us a bit of rainfall over areas such as Bindura with 109, Anderson 95, Akchura 69 millimeters, and Binga 59 as some of the meaningful falls that we had over those northern areas. But however, to the south, we're having a southeasterly wind which drove in a bit of drizzle, but it's drying out much of the southern areas as we get into the rest of the week, where we're expecting less in terms of precipitation. Isolated showers cannot be ruled out, however, so we still remind you that when thunder rolls, it's best to be indoors. For our minimums overnight, we're expecting them in the mild category, but it becomes cooler tomorrow, where Bulawayo is projected to have a bit of rain showers with a maximum of only 26, 27 into Matopo, but it gets sunnier as we get into the rest of the week. For Gwanda, it gets warmer as well as we get into Friday and Saturday, but a few odd showers cannot be ruled out for tomorrow. For Lupane, we're expecting a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 26. For Victoria Falls, it goes up to 30 with more sunny breaks projected. Same for Gweru, it becomes less cloudy as we get into Friday and the weekend as well, but rain showers cannot be ruled out in places. For Kwekwe, odd shower or two for tomorrow, but it gets less as we get into the weekend. For Kadoma, we're expecting more warmer conditions as we get into the weekend. Same for Chinoi, with more sunshine as we get into Saturday and Sunday. Sunshine in the Sunshine City on Saturday and Sunday. Kariba also to have cloud breaks, but an odd shower too cannot be ruled out. Same for Masvingo, with a few sunshine days on Friday and on Monday. For Bindura, expecting a bit of sunshine also for the weekend, with a bit of cloudiness drifting into the southeastern parts of the country, giving us cloudy conditions over Marondera. Same for Nyanga, with rain showers on Saturday and Sunday. So we still remind you that when thunder rolls, it's best to be indoors. I'm James Koma Jr. with the Met Department.
Oh, thank you to James Ngoma Jr. there and the Met Services Department for giving us the way of the weather. And that's it for this edition of the May News from all of us here. Good night.
Good night.
Honorable Acting President, a dark cloud has engulfed the nation as we have lost 3 gallant sons of the